morning, good morning, good morning. First Sky Omaha Radio, First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Hey. All right. Looks like cameras are working all right. Oh man, I have to get that later. Got to do this before.
Yeah, I meant to ask.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Yes, yes, yes. I do believe we are all systems go this morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. First Sky Omaha Radio, First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
All Beeee, Buddi3 Da Gawd, back where he's supposed to be.
Man.
In the mothership.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
What's going on? What's going on with you, Chat Chimers, ghost listeners, radio listeners? Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday, September the 20th, 2023. How y'all doing?
Man.
Yeah. How's it feel to be back home, buddy?
Feels good. Feels good. Feels comfortable. Had to, get back, clean my space, get ready.
Yeah. That's what's up, man. I'm glad you back with no more internet problems. Crisp and clean with no caffeine.
Yeah, man. Yeah. This room has been prepared for this. So yeah. Also helps to have my laptop.
Yeah, very, very much. And the nice mic. You sound like butter this morning. So.
Butter, baby.
That's what's up. Appreciate you guys joining us this morning, especially the 6:30 crew that gets up very early and checks out the radio channel.
Yeah.
Good morning to the 6:30 crew. Let me know how the mix was this morning. And shout out to you guys doing that. And also to you on the chat chimers are already letting us know YouTube and Facebook are working.
Man, coming on in.
Messages from Facebook this morning saying you gotta relink and do a bunch of stuff. So I didn't know what Facebook was gonna do this morning. So I'm glad to see it's on.
Been looking at those like what?
Yeah, man.
What is that about? Like,
you got me, bro. You got me.
Man, they trying to sabotage us, y'all.
It's the first of the sabotage plan.
Man.
But Wanda Lewis gives us a good morning. Gwen Easter gives us a good morning. Both on Facebook. Appreciate that. Leia Keister says, "What's up, Wednesday?"
Hey.
On YouTube. Pops is on YouTube. Says, "Good Wednesday morning, First Sky and love from Las Vegas." Appreciate you, Pops. Getting up so early with us.
Yeah, man. Crack of dawn.
Can't wait to get out there, man. I've been seeing the family get together, and I'm like, man, I got to get out there.
Okay, is it like reunion?
Not really. Just kind of, the family gets together from time to time, man. Goes to Meatless and wherever, get some tacos, hang out.
Okay.
So they posted some pictures recently, and I was like, man, I missed it.
Man. Yeah. It's good. It's important, man. Spend time with the fam. I was definitely glad to be able to do so while in Omaha. Catch up with a couple cousins, go visit my grandpa.
Yeah, man. That's life. That's life right there for real.
Man, it's important. It's important, man. And I actually, to be honest, haven't seen my grandpa in a while, especially since I moved down here. So it was, just kind of reminded, like, man, yeah, I got to check on my folks, man. I got to check on my peeps.
Definitely got to do that, man. Check on your peeps, and you have your peeps check on you.
Yeah, that part. Yeah.
How
you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing not too bad. Just in the throes of work all the time. So
yeah,
this is crucial time of the year for if you're associated with any nonprofits, which the Benson Theater actually is a nonprofit. Most people don't know that. But so it's that time of the year where everybody gets ready for their balls and their galas, and you know, we're no different. We got to raise that money for next year.
Man,
So
man.
that's just how it's going. So Benson Theater stuff is happening. If you guys, you know, there's a lot of people. This is kind of a nonprofit town, so a lot of our chat chimers are associated and know about it. So you know what this is, end of the year, you know, asks,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, all the Giving Tuesdays type of stuff where people donate for the
Give me the
cause.
loot.
Gotta make it happen, man. There's a lot of business out here, and they're required to engage in philanthropy. So it's a matter of you know, asking and seeing if they are down for your cause, and that's what we're doing right now at the Benson Theater in a big way. Benson Theater's been open now for a couple years, and so now we got a track record of how many people in our community we're opening up the space to, and doing things with, and people that wouldn't normally be able to do things
Mm.
in a space like that are having it. So man, big proponent of the arts and building community over there. So it's good cause. I'm glad I'm still part of that cause. But now it's you know, now it's time to go out and tell people about this cause and be like, you know, hey, kick in, help out. You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. How was the didn't you have the mixer yesterday? The at the front room?
Yeah, they did the front room mixer yesterday. I didn't go. I had to do some work off site, but that seems to be getting together too, big time, man. We got some new businesses that are popping up, and they're kind of gonna lean those happy hours to that, to where like
Okay.
introduce the new businesses coming in the neighborhood and all that.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's gonna be cool. It's still a place to build that community, and it's fun. It's actually like I enjoy being able to tell people you can come in and use this space. Like let's put it together. Let's put your show together. Let's figure out what you want to do.
Yeah.
Proponent of the arts in a big
Yeah.
way.
Be creative. To my understanding, y'all have a screen for like film showings, even if you're not, necessarily on stage.
Hmm.
If you want to use that space to show a film or
Yeah,
host a class or a meeting or anything, just be creative.
all of it, man. Big. It's turned into a big hug for uh, filmmakers too, like for independent filmmakers in Omaha.
Nice.
A lot of people who have made films are premiering them there at the theater, and I've been seeing, you know, groups get together and kind of collab and team up, and you know, companies are being built and all kinds of stuff with the films.
Okay.
So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. We need it. You need as many outlets as we can. I think Kimra, I think I saw Sister Kimra Snipes post on Facebook because usually she's down at the headquarters down at Scooters, but since the awning was destroyed, it's been closed down, and she's kind of feeling the impact. She says again, she was talking about the outlets as far as being able to have power at coffee shops, but it made me really think about don't take for granted just the spaces and places that we use that are available to us. Let's not take them for granted.
Yeah, they actually call them third spaces. So you got your home, you got your work, and everybody needs a community can't thrive unless it has a third space.
Hmm.
It's like your
Okay.
coffee shop. It's your space where you can come in and congregate. You know, it's your happy hours and stuff like that. So you can build community. You can't have it without a third space. You're not always gonna have people at your house, and
Right.
you're working at work. So where do you actually socialize that? You know what I mean?
Man, see, there you go. There you go. So yeah, definitely if you haven't been able to do so, go ahead and check out the Benson Theater on Tuesdays, man, in the front room. Goes down, man. Get you a cocktail. If you're not into drinking, get you a mocktail and have a good time.
That's what's up, man. We need to hire you over there for sales, bro. You sound
Hey,
good.
hey, cut that check.
Pops in the chat, man. He says it has taken me nearly 3 to 4 minutes to get on YouTube. YouTube tripping this morning, huh? Okay,
Okay,
okay.
let us know. Let us know.
Yeah, Mark Matter gives us a good morning. Hey, Mark, appreciate you coming
Hey,
on. Keep on forgetting to come over there and pick up those issues of the reader, man. But I'm gonna get over there this week sometime. So I'll call
Homer's
you.
got him.
Yeah, I had them pull a couple aside for us, man, because I knew I wasn't gonna be able to find them around town in time before they were gonna be gone. So he went over to they come to Homer, so he pulled a couple for us. So appreciate that. Mama God
Okay.
gives us a good morning first, Sky fam. Good morning, Mama God.
Hey, my Dukes made it on. Top of
Yeah,
the morning.
top of the morning to you. Can't wait to see you Saturday again for the content creators camp. We always have a good time over there now.
Well, actually, she's down here with me for a couple
Oh, I
weeks. So
forgot about that.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. She'll be down here. But good segue, man. Big shout out. We saw Miss Gwen Easter there last week.
Hmm.
So yeah, a couple other heads in the building. So
Yeah.
big shout out to y'all for coming through. Definitely looking forward to next week. I think we got Dr. Z coming on in.
and we're gonna probably be at the elevator spaces this time too. So we'll let you know. That be looking for that uh, email
Hmm.
post that we'll do later on in the day. Let you know where everything's happening, and also we'll post it on Friends of First Sky Omaha too, of course, and let you guys know what's where and when and what is happening with that. So yeah, man, let's go for it. He says I have them for you. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, we'll definitely come out this week and pick him up. We got to talk about Dave Chappelle for a minute, man.
Man,
First of all, it was so good to see all just about all of Omaha. It felt like all of Omaha came out for it.
man, all walks of life,
Yeah,
economic backgrounds, everybody.
yeah, it was dope. It was dope. I mean, I haven't been to many shows, and then after the show, just kind of stood outside because it was you were bound to run into everybody out there.
Man,
Just kind of stood around waiting to say hi to everybody that just experienced that.
yeah,
Huge for the city. I think it was huge for the city for him to come.
man, brought Bud out.
Yeah, and honored Bud, honored the champ, man. After Dave Chappelle's like, man, we in your town. Like this all about you. Come on up here, get up on stage with us, and it was
Man,
good to see. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I'm gonna have to say, Paul, I made it into one of Dave's jokes.
but he did. That's the advantage of getting them tickets up close, bro. So close enough for a cat to see you. Yeah,
Man,
yeah, yeah. That was dope. That was dope.
yeah, that was it kind of hit me like, yo,
Dave was talking about he was talking about the running into some homeless folks out in L.A. and somebody ran up on him with dreadlocks and he was like, it wasn't the nice dreadlocks like you got, and pointed right at Buddy, and it was like that. These guys had sticks and matchbooks and all.
oh
Okay,
man, yeah, yeah, that
yeah, he
was a
sees
great
us sitting
time.
there. He sees us sitting there. That's what's
Oh
up.
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. So big shout out to everybody that came out. Definitely, hopefully you had a good time as just as much as we did. Saw Senator McKinney out there. I have to say, man, I ain't appreciate him almost suplexing me after the show though. I ain't appreciate that, man.
I seen him
Had-
coming.
he didn't say nothing, man.
I seen him coming. I was like, he about to get Buddy right now, bro.
Oh man, yeah, yeah. I'm had to have some. Now that I'm a couple thousand miles away, I'm had to have some words for Senator McKinney. Yeah,
Hey
can't
man,
put the wrestling moves on me now.
hey, we've been talking about his wrestling prowess. I've never seen it in action until Dave Chappelle.
Man, he took me back to high school, man. Those North High wrestlers used to get on my nerves. They come up to you trying to wrestle in the hallway, like, man, I'm trying to go to class, man. Get
Man,
off me,
he picked you up off of your feet like you was a rag doll, bro.
man.
I didn't know what he was gonna do. I was like, oh man, he about to swing his Buddy. I better go find my keys and get to the car.
Oh man, we gotta get out of here. We
Let me
gotta
get
get
out
out
of
of
here.
here.
Yeah, yeah, it was funny. But that's because because I seen him kind of skipping up to us, and I was like, he just had a good time too. It was
Yeah.
him, like you know what I'm saying, like not stressing, bro. Like he came up, you know what I'm saying. Like
Hmm.
I don't think I seen him smiling and being that happy like in person in a while anyway. But
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
he had a good time. I can
Man, all jokes aside, it was definitely nice to see Senator McKinney. Got to meet his brother. Saw Jiki out there, Giddy Jiki with it. Of course, his wife Joanne. Yeah, man, it was a good time. Good time, man. Big shout out to everybody that came out supported.
Hey, I see Tanaya Patterson I'm sorry, Tamika Johnson in the chat on YouTube over there. Appreciate that. He said you were the nice dress he was talking about.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He was talking about me. Yeah,
Yeah, it was dope. I was like, he see us sitting here. He see us.
yeah.
Yeah, man, that was a good time. I'm glad we were able to experience that. And so was George Clinton, man. I had a good time.
Yes.
Somebody captured me up there dancing. As a matter of fact, Lacey. And
Uh,
she
she got you.
yeah, she recorded me up there swinging the shirt. Like we was having a good time up there too, man. It was a good couple days. But I
Okay.
tell you what, it sure did wear me out. I was
Yeah, man. I'm
yeah,
tired now, right
ain't-
now. But we here doing the thing. I wonder if anybody caught me dozing off.
I ain't gonna lie, I got you on camera. I said, wait a minute. Well, wait a minute. I done brought him to a George Clinton concert. He over here nodding off. But to your credit, it was the opening band you was nodding off to. You was
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
wait for all of George. So that's what's
Yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah. Had to power up for George, man. The open band was nice too, but I was tired, boss. I was tired.
Hey, it's 7:15. If you believe in the concept of time, we're gonna get this show on the road. We got some things to talk about today. It seems to be education day a little bit. Lots of articles about the school stuff.
Man,
I'm gonna jump back into yeah, some pretty interesting stuff, man. I can't wait to dig into this and see what you guys, the chat chimers, think. So appreciate you getting up early this morning on this Wednesday, September 20th, 2023, and joining us for another fresh edition of First Sky Omaha Radio, First Sky Omaha in the morning.
in the morning.
All be Buddi3 Da Gawd, all of you. Let's get it. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Thanks for joining us. You're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio, First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
All be Buddi3 Da Gawd, chat chimers, ghost listeners, radio listeners. Thanks for joining us once again. It is Wednesday. It feels like a Monday for some reason, but it's Wednesday, September the 20th right now, 2023.
Man.
And lots in the news today. We're definitely going to be talking about a few things. Buddy, maybe you can run down. Before we do that, though, let's jump into the chat real quick. Malik Rogers, good morning, over on YouTube, says, sad waking up to the news of juveniles shooting each other. Youngest was 12 years old. Sorry to hear. Yeah, really, really sad. Sorry to hear that, man. I really really feel like every time we hear this news and get this news, the first thing I think is about Boost to the Roots, which is what we're talking about, season 6.
Yeah, man.
And who's really out there talking to the actual kids and really sitting them down and trying to give them some programs, give them some things to do, and all that good stuff. And of course, the first people I think about is the BAA, who is feet on the ground doing things. As a matter of fact, they got a gang education prevention coming up on the 30th. This is Black Agenda Alliance and Untamed teamed
Yeah.
up together for this, and they're going to be talking to the kids, man. Really kind of talking to the kids and the parents. Talking to families about what we can do about this, the reality of what gang life looks like. I know a lot of times they talk about kids thinking that gang life is pretty glamorous, but these are some cats that have actually been in gangs and actually been associated with people, with other people who've been in gangs, and they know about what it really is, what
Yeah.
it's really about, and what it can lead to, and so on and so forth. So those are the people that are best suited to talk to young kids about these things, and it seems to get younger and younger all the time. So
Man.
prayers to the thoughts and prayers to the families of these kids that are out here wilding out like that and then getting hurt. And yeah, sad news. Appreciate you bringing that up and reminding us about what we can try to do about it. Something we can do about it. So this is Saturday, September 30th. It's coming up, man. I thought this was down the line, but it's like
Nah.
10 days from now.
Yeah.
2:30 to 5, 5001 North 42nd Street on Omaha, Nebraska. Free food, free admission. Definitely come down and support this, and definitely come down and bring your families down as well and join the conversation there. So yeah,
Gotta get to them young. Gotta get to them young.
yeah.
I kind of think about that a lot of times. Like, what are my experiences and I think back really. I can remember like seeing classmates, getting into the gang life as early as like the 6th grade.
Mhm.
So if you're thinking, 13, 14, high school, it could be too late. Like we really got to start talking. I mean, really thinking back, yeah, 6th grade,
Mhm.
5th, 6th grade is when I remember a lot of my classmates kind of getting into that lifestyle. So yeah, let's definitely make sure we're talking to our young people, and I mean young people.
Mhm. 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, I mean, my son's 8, and I'm already having the antennas up, monitoring. Like, okay, what are you saying? Where are you getting this from?
Mhm.
Definitely being in public school, and as Paul mentioned, we're going to be talking about schools. And one of the main things I want to identify or kind of contextualize throughout this is the preschool to prison pipeline.
Mm.
We'll be getting into attendance. There's some absenteeism issues going on in the school district. And again, if just, children aren't going to schools, what are they doing? And where will they end up? So
Yeah.
yeah, we're definitely gonna be drawing some lines and making some connections throughout today.
Yep. Yeah. Wanda Lewis in the chat says, I just found out there's no school on Friday now for most public schools due to the lack of bus drivers.
Man,
I ran across some articles. As a matter of fact, there was too many articles to mention today, but there was
yeah,
one talking about bringing up the school district putting funds away for new buses, new bus drivers, and all that. That's something that's definitely on their radar as well, and that's interesting. I didn't hear that news yet that Friday there was no school. Man, for lack of bus drivers, it seems real interesting.
yeah.
Every time I think about what we talk to the senators about, and when we talked to Breonna Full last week as well, talking about how they say they got enough money,
You're fully funded.
fully funded. So what's the problem? Maybe you got to increase the pay for the bus drivers. You got to figure something out. If you got enough money, then if you throw enough money at a situation, I don't see why there should be a problem. Business is business, and the school buses are making some money. You know what I'm saying? And people need jobs,
It's just kind
and
of.
I don't understand.
I'm sorry, man. It's just kind of hitting me like, who's in the schools? Like, who's if there's absenteeism, that means students aren't at the schools. You're closing down programs, meaning teachers aren't at the schools, and now like, who's actually working for the schools? Like, who's actually using the system?
Administration. So that's one of the things that we've come to figure out. We got to have somebody from administration come on and explain some things for real.
Man,
Kimber Snipes gives us a good morning. Appreciate you very much for getting up. Miss Erica Phil says good morning. Well, hard to say good morning after Malik Rogers' comment. Yep, for
yeah,
sure. Christy Nor gives us a good morning. Also, Miss Erica Phil says I remember talking to my oldest sons about gangs and about pimping back when they were in fourth grade. Yeah, they're already hearing about stuff early, man, for sure.
yeah,
That language, that thing you said about like with your antennas up listening to is very important because it kind of starts with the language a little bit. You could tell what's going on, who they're hanging around, what's happening
hmm
by the way they start talking. It's really interesting to hear my nephew come up with some words and phrases. Oh, where'd you hear that? Where'd you get that from? Like I
right.
know your
Yep.
mama ain't talking like that. So who said that? You
You gotta
know?
check them sources, man.
Yeah, man. So it's interesting to hear that. You can hear it first. You can hear it coming, and then you got to when you hear that, you got to look around and see that's the age they're really mimicking everything. So who they getting that from? So it's interesting.
Yeah,
Miss
that's a
Erica Phillips says
sponge.
that closer was on the calendar since this past February. So they put that on the calendar in February that there was going to be no school Friday
Is that
because of the buses.
is that just one Friday or is that Fridays? Is that an ongoing thing?
That's crazy.
Um, yeah, but that is interesting that's how they kind of it is. So this is something that they pre-planned on because the busing, the transportation problems with OPS isn't new, and I'm assuming that's OPS that Miss Wanda Lewis was talking about.
Hmm.
So let us know if we're off base with that. But yeah, the busing shortage is nothing new.
I like what Malik Rogers is saying in the chat too. He says need to start earlier than school. Look at daycare shortage. Who's watching the kids before they get to school? We know we have a couple of daycare professionals in our chat chimers, and they take great pride in making sure that they are helping and not just watching, but keeping the kids. Big case out in New York right now where there was somebody dealing a bunch of drugs out of a daycare center, and a
Really?
baby guy of fentanyl overdose and died. Yep.
Oh my!
I mean, it's right. They yeah. It's serious out there, man. It's serious about like what's going on with the kids, and I'm sure that they tried to find a place that they can afford, and that was part of it. Yeah, big. It's so I the more that we do this show and more we talk to Miss Erica Felt, Miss Gwen Easter, people that are involved in daycare, childcare, the more important. It's so important. You stop everything if you stop it early and not just watching the kids, but also educating the kids. I mean, that's all these things are so important. Like they have education in their programs,
Yeah, man.
you know, and take it very seriously. Take it, take it as serious as it's supposed to be. So, shout out to the child care professionals out there. Man, it's unfortunate that there's powers and things that are happening right now that kind of make it. There's a shortage. There's a shortage out here, especially from mom, the ones you would really trust, mom and pop
Hmm.
shops in the neighborhood that you know. So it's tough, man. Kimmer Snipes says I have a meeting with coming up with the interim superintendent. Okay, Can't wait
Okay.
to hear about that. Definitely see if we can bring him on the show. We'd love to talk to him too for sure. Tanaya Patterson in the chat. Good morning. She says, I know a high school groundskeeper that sees some of the effects of some of the student body that is lost. He picks up all kinds of alcohol shooters dotting the high school lawn every day.
Hmm.
Man, I appreciate you coming on tonight, Patterson. You put some really really deep stuff into the chat. I often pull some of the things that you say. You're like a reporter when it comes to some of these things, especially when it comes to what's going on in school
Yeah.
and everything else too. So I appreciate your contributions to Friends of First Sky Omaha in a big way. And that's really deep too, man. Seeing some of the effects that gives you a visual of like what's going on when the schools are empty in a real way. Marlon Harrison said Friday is staff development day. Okay, so maybe there's another reason why there's no school on Friday.
Mm.
Does that happen every Friday, Marlon? And appreciate you coming on as well. He also and everybody who's on YouTube right now. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Kimber Snipes says I was talking to a teacher from the West Side District, and she said it's crazy how their district deals with a lot of the same issues, but all people discuss is OPS.
Hmm.
OPS is the biggest school system out here too.
Right.
I can kind of understand that, but yeah,
I
this
mean,
is mhm,
but there's a racial narrative to that. Like you
absolutely.
know, you definitely have to understand that.
Oh man, yeah, there's no doubt, no doubt. 70-80% of kids of color in OPS.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's going to be first to be spoken about. Marlon Harrison says student behavior is a huge issue, and a lot of educators and bus drivers don't want to deal with it. Good point.
Hmm.
Different. We're in a different realm these days. You don't snatch somebody's kids up no more. You be fighting the
True.
parents.
True.
Yeah. Amy H. Dot says, "Good morning, familia. Good morning to you. Appreciate you coming on in."
Hey.
Miss Erica Fell says we miss concerts to ensure we offer the best quality and are doing development evaluations. She's trying to get back at me because I called her out for not coming to George Clinton. I was like, you messed it up. And she was like, I am going to be taking care of the business that pays and taking care of these babies. And that's what I'm going to do. And as something came up, she had to miss the concert, but she's right. I mean, that's the level of just expertise. First of all, expertise, but not just expertise, but caring about these
Yeah.
kids, man. Kids
Devotion.
come first, no matter what. Even if you got to miss George Clinton's last show in Omaha, I
Man.
understand.
Man.
Tonight, Patterson says that's what's happened when you outsource privatization. Schools busing is the latest to fall. Make them full time city employees and pay the pay the position well, including benefits. Pay the position well, including benefits. Instead, at the mercy of wages in the teens for part time work. Come on, that's what I'm saying.
Mm.
And you decline the money that the senators are trying to get you. You say you got enough. That we got enough money sounds very suspect to me. It reminds me of times when Pete Ricketts and them used to decline money that came from like federal funds and stuff like that. No, we're not
Yeah.
taking that. We don't need that. We wouldn't take that money, type of stuff.
Hmm.
I wonder. Kimber Snipe says OPS is hiring substitute teachers for about $200 per day. Once I wind down, I'm going to apply.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, brother Knight in the chat. Good morning. Says it's a link to a YouTube video on the channel called "We Need to Talk," featuring Dr. T. Hanson Johnson. 45 minutes long, but well worth the well worth the watch. Did I miss something that you said earlier? Let me see.
No, I
No.
think he just kind of popping in. Kind of give us a little context. What is it about? What is it about?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What are they talking about?
Yep. Mr. Rockefeller says I got my Southwest tickets to Oakland. I heard that. I'll be seeing George Clinton. Come on through.
Man,
So,
so okay, so
that's not to miss it.
had a backup plan. Had a backup plan. Speaking of that, thanks for the hat with the Oakland colors.
Hey.
Yeah, had to rock it. Thank you.
What's it say? I can't read backwards, brother.
Oh, it says Blazers.
Oh, got it.
So
Okay.
kind of Portland, Oakland connection.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sports.
Dame Lillard. Yeah,
Hey, that's great.
yeah. But anyway, man, let's go ahead and dive into today's topics. Because again, a lot of things surrounding school, but also connecting that school to prison pipeline. So we'll definitely be talking about that. Man, where do we start? So of
Man, that's a
course,
good question.
yeah. Of course, again, we mentioned the absenteeism issues, and leaders are looking to address this issue as far as absenteeism in Omaha with a new program. So we'll look at that. Also, Nebraska leaders are discussing ways to address early childhood education crises. Again, we've talked about special education and some of the closing programs in the area, but also the Buffett Early Childhood Institute. Again, continuing our conversation about the daycare centers. Again, even as a lot of you have already mentioned in today's show, even before they get to school, what are our children learning? How are they learning? Where are they learning? So we'll definitely be talking about that. Also, again, looking at the prison situation, because we do know that the prison to preschool pipeline, or preschool to prison pipeline, is a real thing. And again, just as our schools are having issues, so are our prisons. Despite salary hikes, staffing issues remain at Nebraska prisons, a report says. And I'll also take this time to remind us that the prison system is still overcrowded, the most overcrowded in the country. So again, very interesting how the issues in prison kind of seem to reflect what's going on in the schools. I think there are a lot of connections in this. So we'll definitely be talking about that. And of course, we'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Also, someone mentioned about privatization of schools. And there's an article that we have from the Washington Post that talks about detailing how privatizers are trying to end public education, which is a conversation we've been having. Again, that school choice debate still raging on. And actually, tonight, Patterson, big shout out, as Paul mentioned, dropped a pretty interesting educational explanation on that. Again, on trying to clarify exactly what is school choice, who's on what side. There was a lot of confusion with that. So hopefully this explanation helps clear a lot of that up. And then of course, hopefully we can get to following the money in today's episode, because there's also some tax debates that's going on dealing with the funding of our schools as well. So again, a lot of education topics to discuss today. Big education day. As always, let your mind be free, let your voice be heard.
Yeah, man. I like us if we could start with that last one you just talked about, because I know Miss Erica Phelps about to go tend to them babies, and part of this thing was because she put a post in Friends of First Sky Omaha that related to this tax situation. You mind if we start with that one?
Yeah. We'll just jump into the post. I don't know, Paul, if you want to pull that up, if you can.
Yeah. Let me see if I.
Yeah, I'll read a comment while you look for that. A big shout out to Miss Erica Felden, and of course all the people active on our Friends of First Guy in Omaha page, because again, yeah, this is what drives our conversations, what's happening in y'all's lives. So a big thank you. And one thing that apparently just happened to Miss Erica Felden, and let me know if any of you other chat chimers or ghost listeners experienced this. But she says, I thought OPS didn't want more money, and the house is valued at more than what I paid for. Add this to the list of why people who can leave Nebraska do leave Nebraska. And this is again a caption accompanying a photo of a notice of proposed tax increase in Douglas County. So again, I'm wondering, did any other homeowners receive this here notice that you can see on the screen? Apparently property taxes going up. And again, we've talked about how does property taxes relate to schools. Of course, talking about following the money and the whole funding. Yep, that's your mail.
Yep, she said in a comment there, she said basically my mortgage payment that just this year went up a couple of hundred each month is fitting to go up at least another $77.50 per month.
Man.
People will lose their homes before they even replace the dad carpet, for real. Yeah, that's what's in. So we wanted to know. We saw this and we were juxtaposing this up against an article that we teased the other day about the governor trying to encourage schools to peel back some of this property tax, which is another thing that's on the surface sounds like okay, good, maybe they can peel back some property tax, but on the other hand, is he trying to defund public schools a little bit? You know what I'm saying? Like makes you wonder what you're thinking on that. As a matter of fact, I was kind of interested in digging into that article a little bit if
Yep.
we can get there because now I'm not sure. I'm not sure what at first, like I said, that where the headline read, it was like, he's trying to help out, and now I'm like, is he really?
Well, again, for those of you who aren't familiar, this Paul is referring to a bill that recently passed that we haven't really talked about much. But again, as Senator McKinney said on Monday, about 800 or so bills were introduced in the last session. So there's a lot that kind of went under the radar. and LB 243 is definitely one of those. And it actually passed on a very wide margin, 41-1. The bill passed.
Mm.
It was introduced by Senator Tom Brees, who I believe was just appointed to the not secretary, treasurer.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, that's who Pillen just appointed to treasurer.
Okay.
But he again, Senator Brees was the revenue committee, or no, excuse me, he was on the revenue committee, and again introduced this bill that will make a series of changes aimed at easing the financial impact of increasing property tax valuations on Nebraska's local property tax payers.
Mm.
And from what I read, this does sound like a good thing for those paying property taxes. One of the big things is, again, removing the 5% cap on the growth of state income tax credit programs, again, granted on local property tax payments, which means that this tax relief program will increase at the same amount as property evaluations, which, as Miss Erica Felt is saying in her post, is actually higher than what she paid. So again, the state is evaluating properties at a higher rate, and the property taxes apparently have been increasing at an even more rate. But again, this bill seems to put those on the same pace. And then also the big thing with schools is a new soft quote unquote cap that has been put on K through 12 school districts on their spending, which is at the heart of this issue. Because a big result of LB 243 was a $300 million increase in the pot of funds available to K through 12 schools. But the disagreement is on how they will spend that $300 million a year. Again, Governor Pillen is asking schools to utilize about 97% of those funds for property tax relief. Again, to relieve or to I guess supplement for the property taxes that, again, homeowners in the area would not be paying. However, it seems like school districts are trying to spend majority of those funds on things that they need, like transportation, busing, also bills, and trying to account for inflation, as addressed in this article, are some of the things that these schools are trying to pay for. So it's very interesting, and it seems like these schools need these funds. There are talks about going bankrupt. There are talks about going default, and it seems like there is a very, very hard balancing act, if you will, by many school districts. Of course, OPS is not quoted in this article, but several school districts across the country or across the state are fighting to spend this $300 million, saying that they need it, saying we're just trying to pay our bills. So it's very interesting as far as what's going on financially with a lot of the schools across the state.
Yeah. Jumping into the chat already. Wanda Lewis says we all received it within the past weeks. Everybody that has a home, Malik Rogers says every homeowner should have received one.
Mhm.
But then Miss Erica Fell says one of my clients lives down on Radio Highway and their green card says their taxes are going down. I don't understand. So that's interesting. So everybody's going to get a card, and apparently everybody's taxes aren't going up. Some are going down. Wanda Lewis talks about a meeting. She says, I believe the meeting is tonight at 6 p.m. at the legislature downtown. Which meeting are we talking about? Something you read, buddy?
I didn't see anything about a meeting, so if you kind of got more context about that, please let us know.
Yep. Also, let's see. Tonight Patterson says front end property tax credit reimbursement 30% that went to public schools, back end property tax increases. Interesting. Malik Rogers, folks need to speak up at upcoming public hearings for sure. Mr. Eric Fell says, and my valuation jumped over 40K in just 1 year last year after not raising for years. I remember us talking about this back in the day. Diane Badiato was getting a whole bunch of fire for being the person in charge of that. And she was like, well, it wasn't quite my fault. Like they hadn't increased anything in years. And then all of a sudden they wanted to increase all in 1 year
Yeah.
and make up for all that time. And that might be what's happening here. So Tamika Johnson said, I received that notice. However, there was also a bulletin released from the Nebraska Department of Revenue outlining the tax credit landowners will receive for every 100,000 of home value.
Right. Right. And I believe there are some changes to that in LB 243. Part of LB 243 is to add 247 million to the property tax relief credit fund, increasing the total annual investment to 560 million by the 2029 tax year. The fund would increase in subsequent years at the same rate as property valuations statewide.
There you go. To non-passions, and the tax credit went from 6% in 2020 to 30% in 2022. So it looks like defunding public schools to me. Defunding public schools, interesting. Um,
So
mhm.
yeah, I mean that's kind of the point the conclusion that I have not been able to reach, but it's smelling like that, trying to figure out because again, from my research on again reading through LB 243 and some of the changes that it made, again I don't pay property taxes. I don't own property in Nebraska, so I'll be honest. But it sounds like a good thing if again the tax relief program is increasing at the same rate. Like I can imagine if valuations are going through the roof, but the tax relief program isn't really moving, then that could be an issue. So I feel like them moving at the same rate could help. Also, thinking about North Omaha and other areas where individuals might struggle with paying property taxes, having a tax relief program and trying to force schools to use $300 million in extra funds to assist in that tax relief program. It's all sounding good to me, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, how is the game of chess being played? How are the pieces moving? Like Tanara Patterson is saying, there's one thing on the front end, but what's happening on the back end?
Yeah.
If anybody has any, other perspective on that, I would definitely love to hear it because I'm personally still trying to figure it out.
And we better come up with it now because like they were saying in the chat, Wanda Lewis says the meeting is tonight, 6 p.m. at the legislator. At the what she said, the legislator downtown. I'm not sure where that is, but we'll find it. She says, also, let's see, there was somebody else talking about, yeah, Malik Rogers public hearing tonight. Everybody's saying let's speak up at the public hearing. What exactly were you going to speak up and say? Which way are you swinging on this? Let us know in the chat if you're on that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little
So.
more.
Mhm.
Just looking at the chat, also a little more information on that. Miss Erica Phelps saying the meeting is also on that card. So the green card, if you got the green card, the meeting information is on there. She says she didn't show it because it showed her address. So the meeting is to protest the increase.
Protest the increase. Okay. I tell you, man, they always they're throwing something at us all the time. I know that. It's crazy. Ron's
Yeah.
reviews in the chat. First of all, good morning to you, Mayor Sanchez. You said like and subscribe a little earlier. I didn't get to mention that, but appreciate you saying that. He says also, where was Rome's thought at? I'm losing it. There's so much going on in the chat already. I love it.
Yeah, chat's going off.
Yeah, man. Homeowners are funny. He said they don't want higher valuation while living there, but when it comes to selling, they want to embellish its worth.
Well, you know.
Embellish? Is that what they're doing? Uh, I like that you guys are chatting with each other. Brother Knight said, "Rome, most people love the benefit but despise the burn." I hear you.
Man, hey, you invested in your house. It's gonna go
Yeah.
up. It's gonna go up. What are your
It's-
thoughts on this, Paul?
I'm like you, bro. I'm not sure. I'm not. I'm hearing it. First of all, like I got to listen to the homeowners. I'm not a homeowner right now, so I got to listen to what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember some times when we helped put some GoFundMe's and stuff like that together for some folks in the neighborhoods that was about to lose their house over taxes.
Yeah.
And, had to help that situation out. So I know that that's always a thing. And these were people up in age that had already paid the house off and was still having problems with the taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure the taxes was done. So and they will take your house if your taxes ain't paid up.
Yeah, and you might find out about it in the morning paper. We talked about that too.
Talked about that. Somebody might come up, scoop it up, and pay the debt for you, and then all of a sudden you don't own the house. So like
Yep.
keeping up on them taxes is heavy. But at the same time, I'm looking at this other side too. What's the motivation behind? Just not sure. I'm just not sure yet. I need more information. Need to think about it a little bit deeper. Right now, because of the fact that we built relationships here with people in the chat, and the chat chimers are saying these things, I kind of lean towards what it is that they're saying. They're the experts on this one. the homeowners in the chat are the experts here. Are they going? You going to that meeting tonight and protest this increase? Okay, then we'll start there, and then I'll understand. I'll catch up. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's how
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at it right now. So we'll see. Von Chapman in the chat. Good morning. Says good morning. Whatever Nebraska does for the underprivileged is with malicious intent. I mean, I can't help but feel that. What's actually happening? Malik Rogers says a lot of this has to do with where the tax dollars are going and the whole conversation of school budget and spending. Most feel like if they are paying higher taxes, then schools need to be better.
Man, but
This is
again,
true.
it seems like it's going in the opposite direction. Like there's more and more issues with the schools, especially OPS, who again is the largest school district in the state, and saying they're fully funded.
Right. Brother Knight in the chat says, and somebody got to pay for the tax breaks the city gives to companies that build within the city. Yeah,
Mm.
that's a good thought. Tanaya Patterson said, when homeowners do their taxes, whatever the amount of tax that went to the public schools, they get 30% off it back as a credit now, when they only got 6% credit a couple years ago.
Okay.
So while some are saying public schools aren't being defunded, that comes out of that comes out in the wash, making the public schools the fall guy while the state is quietly upping the divestment percentages.
Hmm.
Okay. More information. I said that's what I needed. I'm starting to hear what's going on. I'm rounding around to it. That makes sense. Okay. Brother Knight said taxes only hurt those whose incomes aren't going up. When you talk about the incomes going up at the same time, the taxes going up too, for sure.
Man.
And then, of
Man.
course, we got, and like I said, we've been talking about all these things that have to do with OPS saying they have enough money and turning down other monies. And where is that going? It's obviously about the spending and that those things too. But now here's another element with these tax increases. Another element.
Man. So that kind of brings me to what the post from Sister Tanaya Patterson.
Hmm.
The whole clarifying the school choice
Hmm.
argument. Because again, people are saying apparently there's from the chat, it seems to be an effort. Feels like people believe there's an effort to defund public schools. And so what does that mean? What is the alternative to public schools? Because I don't feel like they're trying to at least eliminate education altogether. So what is really going on? And apparently there's again this post from Tanaya Patterson aiming to clarify what's going on as far as this whole debate between public and private schools. School choice, quote unquote, as we've been using, is a pro private school position. So, again, if you support school choice, then you support private schools. The petition drive is an attempt to send the issue to a public vote. Those that sign the petition wanting it to go to public vote are generally pro public school and or pro keeping public money away from private benefit. Decline to sign, quote unquote, is a campaign to stop the petition drive, thus a pro private school position. And the alignment is due to various forms of school choice failing when it had been put to a public vote across the nation. Legislators started bypassing the public vote, which is why, quote unquote, school choice is in some form, is now in 49 of the 50 states. When talking about conflicts of interest, it usually centers around financial gains and how those play out for those directly or indirectly involved in policy decision voting or decision making, which we've seen again recently, which we talked about with the president of OPS, the OPS school board, who has a possible conflict of interest when it has been disclosed and reported that a company that he works for is dealing in this whole decline to sign school choice debate and trying to again help push this campaign. Again, how those actions or inactions can lead to personal profit is definitely a cause for concern. The conflict of interest is obvious again within the school OPS school board specifically, as I just mentioned. Also, being paid from a campaign that promotes draining students from public schools, draining money from public tax pools is inarguably a conflict of interest in the public entity reliant on both. So that's definitely something to look out for, which actually takes me to this whole article about privatizers trying to end public education. Is there kind of a coup? and public education happening?
Yeah, good segue. Good segue. I definitely am interested. I'm feeling the same thing. I was like, we gotta get to the next article there for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Is something that a lot of the chat chimers. We said this is the chat chimers have been split about this, and I'm seeing more and more that more chat chimers are leaning towards this idea that that it's a tactic used by certain entities, Republicans and so on and so forth, that are trying to change up the whole system to their advantage, because that's what's been taking place more than anything else. So, yeah, 7:50 right now. If you are just joining us, you're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio, First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Call B, Buddi3 Da Gawd. Chat chimers going off. Definitely jump into the chat and listen to what some of the things that we're talking about here.
Man.
Definitely got some good comments coming in, some expertise happening, and some clarification on a lot of things too. We're in the middle of a discussion about the school systems and the privatization of school, the way that the public schools are being treated, and how they're acting, as a matter of fact. And now we're going to jump into a little bit of an article. This is kind of a solution situation. It's kind of some solutions coming from elsewhere, or not solutions, but examples from elsewhere
Mhm.
of what might be happening here. So yeah, I'll hand it over to Buddy. Appreciate you guys joining us today for sure.
Yeah. I mean, really, before I even get into the article, it seems like, looking at the chat, a lot of the people in the chat are kind of on point. Miss Wanda Lewis saying it's a plot to privatize, just like previously stated in comments. Cameron also saying it's so complex, even as a board member, I still have some
Mm,
confusion. That's
mm.
very interesting. Somebody who sat on the board, who was in it. So yeah. Again, let us know what you think on this issue. We'll dive into it again. This coming out of the Washington Post. A headline reads: Former lobbyist details how privatizers are trying to end public education. And this, again, coming out of the Washington Post, the journalist says, a few years ago, I ran a piece by Joanne Barkin about the long history of the movement to privatize public education. She says the article began with the excerpt reading, when champions of market-based reform in the United States look at public education, they see two separate activities: government funding education and government running education. The first is okay with them. The second is not, apparently. Reformers want to replace what they call the quote unquote monopoly of government run schools with freedom of choice in a competitive market dominated by privately run schools that get government subsidies, which, again, it seems like Nebraska is on track for that reality. Again, the Washington Post reads, today, the privatization movement is alive and pushing ahead, with Republican legislators in 16 states actively pushing bills to create or expand school vouchers in our charter schools that are a part of that movement. This post, a continuation of sorts of this previously quoted article, is a discussion with a man named Charles Seiler, who was once a lobbyist for school privatizers, but who came to oppose the very thing he was working toward. Seiler worked for two privatization organizations, including the Goldwater Institute in Arizona, where his job was to persuade legislators to pass laws that privatize public services, especially K through 12 schooling. In March, Seiler had a conversation with education historian and activist Diane Ravitch, as well as with podcaster Jennifer Berkshire, in which he provided insight into the playbook used by quote unquote school choice proponents, the belief system that drives them in their long term objective. He makes it very clear their ultimate goal is to dismantle K through 12 public schools. Again, the rest of the article is a pretty lengthy interview. But again, I'll just stop there. What do we believe or feel about the idea of dismantling public schools?
In the chat, real quick, Marianne Williams is bringing up a good point. Now, we've been talking about this for a while, and then Marianne Williams has been an individual that we've talked to and watched go through, first being on one side of the issue and now being on the other side of the issue, and the
Mm,
process. That's one of the things that I think is a strong point of this show too. Man, they watch us go through the thought process of getting to from one side to another, or back, or whatever it is that we're doing to hold on to what we believe in the first place.
hmm
I find watching that, talking to Marianne Williams about this as well. That's been an advantage of me learning, watching her go through. So. In the chat, she says conservatives do have ill intent towards public schools, but it doesn't mean marginalized communities couldn't benefit. We're too binary or too many issues.
Hmm.
Also, I don't understand not taking advantage of future funding for minority-run schools because the ours did it. So again, I think before, in the beginning when we were talking about this, her position was that of not of being against it, being against it. This was back when I was thinking that money was getting taken from public schools in order to fund private schools, and around that time, when we first started kind of these conversations, I remember that was the case. But then she went on to explain the reason why she changed her mind on it, especially after the senators voted a certain way on it as well. So this kind of encapsulates a lot of what it is that I'm thinking about it. Except for I'm introducing this new idea, not a new idea, but I'm introducing something into my thought process here on this that is a little bit more nuanced, I believe, and that's the fact that ours did do it, and ours are doing it, and ours are taking situation more than anybody else is. Whenever you hear about anything that's going on with the privatization of schools, mostly you're hearing, people ours putting schools together so there's no CRT being taught in the schools, and
Hmm.
also, white flight, leaving people out of districts and all kinds of stuff like that. And I think, yes, there's advantages that can be taken, but how much more damage is being done with this process? And like I said, I haven't changed my mind quite yet on anything. I'm just kind of bringing that into consideration this time, because now, over time that we've been looking at this and talking to different people about it, we're starting to understand. Okay, so who is taking advantage of these things right now, and
Hmm.
what does this actually look like? And what it actually looks like is a whole lot of, ours putting private schools ahead of everything else and using it in their tactics.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
yes, yes, there might be we might be able to take advantage of some future funding, but again, who can, who's putting the schools together that we were dreaming about and talking about quite yet?
That was my exact point, if y'all remember, in the conversation we had about this very thing previously. Again, there's the law and the bill, and the just the words on paper itself, and how it's implemented, and how the people interpret that, and then act upon that interpretation. Those are two different things. And yeah, to your point, this could be a good thing if we had people in position and community members and organizations ready and willing to put together school curriculum and buy buildings and property and hire people and go through all the logistics that it takes to make this thing a reality. But to your point, where's that at? Where is that? How far are we away from that reality? And also, to your point of process, it is very interesting because this Washington Post article again talks about this lobbyist. His whole job was to push this and to inspire and to kind of persuade legislators like the ones who recently introduced this very bill we're talking about to do that, to push it. And he switched on that. In
Mhm.
this article, he says he eventually left because he realized he wasn't great fit for the work. He says, I grew up believing the best way we could help the most people was to get the government out of their lives. But if you look at the actual impacts of libertarian policies when they're implemented, it becomes apparent they aren't helping people. And in fact, they make people worse off. He says, I couldn't continue to do the work I had done. Now I work to educate people about the problematic programs I had helped promote and how we can build something better. So it's definitely interesting. Again, there's the bill and how it's being implemented.
Yep. Before I jump back into the chat, I just want to mention one more thing too. That's heavy on my mind when I'm thinking of this subject is what the senators, Terrell McKinney and Justin Wayne, actually did vote on this, because and what they say about it, and they're pretty
Hmm.
adamant about it. They haven't changed up on that at all. They come back and they say this all the time. They work with kids all the time. They work with kids and families that are in OPS, and they see situations in OPS that there's no solution for, but to please make something else happen so that these kids can have another choice, because they're failing. The OPS is the whole system is so messed up that kids are falling by the wayside. As a matter of fact, I think we got a whole article talking about this situation with what they call chronic absenteeism.
Hmm.
Kids ain't even going to school because of what's going on, what's happening. You know what I'm saying? So
Man.
where's the choices at? And it may not be it may not be the best situation, but what are we doing? We playing offense or defense here? Are we playing offense where we gonna put things in place to be able to have the money and try to make something happen and create some schools that might help our kids? Or are we gonna play defense so that the R's don't come up with more private schools that they're not teaching CRT in? You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
what's the play? And I gotta put that in the thought process too as I'm trying to come to a conclusion about what it is that I think. So I just wanted to throw that out there as well. The senators have had a sway on what it is that I'm thinking about this situation, why they voted the way they did. So jumping in, just think about that for a second. Jumping in the chat,
Hmm.
Janiyah Patterson says, now in the 30% credit at tax time equal to greater than or less than the increase on those green cards. Depending on everyone's family situation, the net impact is going to be different. But I'm banking overall for all homeowners. There's more backing in credit for paying less taxes than what public schools is set to get from these increases. Very true, and that is in the end efforts that in the end affects the pool of money OPS has to pull from, which also has to figure in inflation each year, I suppose. And not to mention like I said, these senators have been on the show talking about that they have been trying to get more money to schools. What is the overall? What is going to be the impact on the schools for this increase? It's a good thing to think about. I definitely too am for the homeowners on this. Got to
Hmm.
be for the homeowners on this. School got enough money, they said. And if, if somebody comes back and says, we've revamped how we're going to spend that money, and now it's going to be more effective, great. But if we need more money, there's people in place and senators in place, and even the governor in place that that will get more money for the school system. So what, you know what I'm saying? So who do we need to be looking out for here? I'm thinking the homeowners more than anything myself.
Yeah.
Malik Rogers in the chat said, "Is it really that hard for Black Omaha elected officials to schedule times weekly? We're talking about a different subject here. Weekly to meet in their community. A simple one evening a week could minimize this craziness of them not engaging."
Mm.
Just a quick comment on that. We did get a request from one of the chat chimers to help organize some of these kinds of meetings, and I am going to go ahead and step up and try to put something together where we can get our Black leaders to meet on a regular basis, especially the elected officials getting in the same room. It doesn't seem like they have been. I could be wrong, but they haven't been with us. So we're
Yeah.
gonna try to put something together
Uh,
and maybe help with that situation some.
I'm kind of curious. I believe there's two women who are in this chat that are a part of some of those types of efforts. I think sister I just had a brain fart on her name. Well, I know Kimra Snipes was a part of the
Bad sentence to say right there.
yeah, man, right, right. I had a
Don't start on nobody's name, buddy.
no, 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 no. I know Kimber Snipes was part of Black Caucus, so that's one question I'm asking: is the Nebraska Black Caucus still a thing? Is it still around? Are they still active? Are they still working? And then also, I know there's an African American Commission at one of the chat chambers, and I'm sorry, I'm having a blank on her name.
Mhm.
That she's a part of, and I'm wondering, what do they do work in that field, or what leaders are a part of that organization? What are they doing?
Mhm. Very good. I'm
Miss
glad
Gwen
that
Easter, that was her name.
Gwynny. Oh yeah, Miss Gwynny. Yeah. I'm glad that Marianne Williams is still in the chat here. She says, "You know what else defines public schools besides lower property taxes? The gazillions we spend on cops in schools and more."
Mm.
So true. Brother Knight says, "I gotta lose this term minority if one is to expect funding for black run institutions. Minority implies white women also." Interesting. She says, she had made a mistake here on defunds. So what she says, the gazillions that we spend on cops in schools and more defunds. Also, a little lower on in the chat, she says that there are many homeschooling groups that can take the next step towards an actual school.
Mm.
So if there's money there to do that, then they can do that. She says, okay, what about the private schools that already benefit? The street school needs money to expand. It's for kids who have been expelled from every other school. Okay, so these are some other points here. We've done some discussion on the street schools and found out they do a lot.
Yeah.
Street schools get down for real. And yes, if they can use some more funding from this, then I'd be all for that too. So I mean, like I said, this is nuanced situation here, and there's a lot that can go both ways. And I think when I talked to the senators about why they voted why they did, they said so you can have more options, more choice. And we don't get into exactly all what those choices and options are, but here's some right here that Marianne Williams is talking about here: street schools getting funded, homeschooling groups that can take advantage of those funds. A lot there. Wanda Lewis says it was stated that if it funded will come from donors who can take the use of the tax credit. Why do you think these people might be philanthropists? I'm not sure what you mean by that. I kind of get the gist here, but from what I understand, the tax credit goes to the students, right? It goes to the families that are putting those kids in other schools.
I have to look. I have to look exactly at it, but there is a kind of list of first come first serve in the Nebraska bill, specifically.
Mm,
Well, that it kind of lays out who is eligible. I think not the tax credit, but the scholarship,
mm-hmm,
because that's what the tax credit is for. Is for those who pay money towards a scholarship. So I think the scholarships are there's a set list of people who are eligible for the scholarships, but whoever gives to that scholarship fund receives a tax credit.
mm, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Kinda, yeah. I mean, it makes sense, yeah. I'm just
Okay.
trying to fit it in the rest of what it is that I'm thinking about it. The chat's going off. I'm actually not gonna get to all of the
Man, yeah.
yeah, yeah, I'm way behind. I did wanna mention that Brother Knight was talking about a video. He had put a link in the chat somewhere. I didn't see it, but maybe you can put that link in there again on the video that has to do with, kids and their behaviors and what's going on there. I see Marlon Harrison made a kind of a comment about, is it the school's fault or the parents' fault? Let's be honest about a lot of parents are not being parents anymore, and I see it firsthand.
Mm,
Marlon Harrison works with kids all the time, and he sees it all the time. So you know, there you
yeah.
go. That's one way to think about it too. You got to think about that. A lot of times, teachers and people in the administration are moving to other areas because they can't deal with the unruly kids that seem to be getting more unruly. So, but that could be bigger because the classrooms are bigger now. It's harder to have better focus on each kid. There's so much nuance to it.
Yeah. But I think regardless, there needs to be, and this is what I kind of want to put out. Whatever we decide to do, there needs to be a organized effort to do it because
Mhm.
there's and I'm kind of looking through this article as we're having this conversation, and we're talking about what could be done and how this could be implemented. But I just want us to make no mistake about what we're up against,
Mhm.
because again, this guy who's in this article being interviewed was a lobbyist, and this art. I first of all, we might need to post this
Mhm.
in the chat because I urge everyone to kind of look through this if you're interested in this whole conversation. This is a pretty big eye opener in exactly what this is. Yes, we're having ideas of what this could be, but again, make no mistake of what this is. He says that again, the question is this whole push is first of all the main priority for libertarian Republicans, and he says the easiest way to recognize this reality is to look at the incredible number of school voucher bills being pushed across state legislators just this year. Again, 16 states, almost a third of the country, are pushing these bills right now. He says their ideal world is with a minimum public infrastructure and investment as possible. They want the weakest and leanest government possible in order to protect the interests of a few wealthy individuals and families who want to protect their extraction of wealth from the rest of us. They see private wealth accumulation as a virtue signal because a person can only become wealthy by creating something of exceptional value for the public. In their worldview, the more money someone has, the more moral life they've lived. And any attempt to take that money through taxation or other means is a moral issue, which is why they work so diligently to undermine public schools, public transportation, streetcar, military spending, and even the carceral system or our prison system. They also work to undermine collective action in the form of unions, voting blocks, protests, and more. To them, it's equally immoral for a union to demand higher wages of a business owner as it is for voters to impose a higher minimum wage on business owners. The same people pushing for school privatization are the same ones pushing for voter suppression, and that's why they fear the power of the people. And again, billionaire governor Pillen is behind this bill. Billionaire Pillen is behind this bill. I mean, this is not a clear cut example of what's going on and how, again, evil billionaires are running our country. It's clear.
Yeah. Really appreciate the inclusion into Friends of Sky Omaha, that article. I put that Washington Post article link in the chat. Definitely read through that, because I think that's the bottom line. I mean, to me, as I'm looking at the other subjects that we want to talk about today, I'm trying to figure out a conclusion to this. Even as the chat goes on, I'm thinking to myself, where I need to leave off is remembering that is that yes, there's a lot of things that could be happening with these vouchers. Marianne Williams in the chat also talked about where this whole thing has come from. The tax breaks came from people that didn't want to pay for private schools and so on. And a lot of good points, a lot of new points being brought out about that too. But we also got to look at what's actually happening right now with it, because it's not what we could do with it. It is the only thing to consider. It's also what's being done with it, and who's behind that. Uh-oh.
Yeah, it just hit me. It just hit me. So again, please read through this article because it talks about their whole playbook, how they're getting, like, who they're approaching. Like we talked about, what type of comments you need at the legislature, what types of things you need to push a bill. They have this down to a science. The interviewer asks, what's the kind of tricks of the trade, quote unquote. This guy says, we will seek out people with sympathetic stories, families or individuals with sincere struggles. The goal was to find people with whom the general public can empathize. Again, they don't care about these people's stories. They're just pawns in a larger game. It's very interesting. And then further down, what really got me, the question was asked, why is it that many voucher programs start small with children with disabilities or military families? And then I thought about what's going on in OPS with the special education system. If they're closing special education schools and programs, then that's setting up for the argument for more private programs. So why are these programs closing?
Come on, buddy.
So yeah, that just kind of hit me.
Buddy gets on fire when something hits him. That's what I'm talking about.
I mean, my engineering mind, man, the mathematics got to make sense.
The math got to math.
Man, the math got to math. And it's not mathing right now.
Appreciate everybody's comments. I'm definitely gonna go back and read these 2 or 3 times. I encourage everybody else to do that too. If you missed any parts of this show, please go back and check it out on First Sky Omaha, the Facebook page, and also the YouTube channel. Definitely go check those things out, and we'll talk a little bit more about this as we go along with it. Let's mark your thought. Remember what it is that your points were right now when this comes up again. As a matter of fact, this situation is so deep. I'm really looking at trying to figure out how we can maybe take some of the comments in the chat and have some more discussion about this. Get this thing written down by a reporter and really kind of build an article out on what it is that we know, what it is that people that are involved in the situation are saying, and just kind of bring all the resources together of everything that we figured out and come up with and done the research on, and put it together to create another part of the argument here that might be stronger than just us individually going and telling our version of a thing. So this might be something that we have to do, a new thing we got to venture into here with First Sky Omaha and put these things together and really kind of check it out. So we'll do that. But in the meantime, right now, I definitely want to get to this other situation here that we need to talk about, and I cannot wait to hear what the Chat Chimers had to say about it. But we are talking about these 5 entities that are splitting the money up, that this money that's supposed to be going to our neighborhoods and low income situations and so on and so forth. and there's a nice article in Nebraska Examiner about certain entities that we have been talking about that are dividing up this money for that. I kind of would like to jump into that and see what you guys think of it, but we'll do that after we come back from the break. Right now, it's 8:15. If you believe in the concept of time, and
Hey,
man, like Rome's reviews, like Mayor Sanchez says, ain't no chat like the one I got. Man, chat goes off around here in a big way, and we really appreciate everybody who is contributing to this.
man.
This is a record of what we think in our neighborhoods right now. So keep in mind that that's how important it is for you to go back and check these chats out and see what's being said here. This is unprecedented. There's nobody who's gathering thoughts in the way that we are doing here at the First Sky Omaha fan with the First Sky Omaha family. So appreciate you guys very much. We'll take a quick break and come back. You're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio, First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Paul B, Buddi3 Da Gawd, all of you
Hey.
Chat Chimers, Ghost listeners, radio listeners, stay tuned. We'll be right back, y'all. Oh, okay. What's going on here? Nothing? All right. Try it again. Uh, okay. Yeah. Let's try it
There
out.
we go. There we go.
Oh, my goodness. Stay tuned. We'll be right back, y'all. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. You're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio, First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Paul B, Buddi3 Da Gawd, all of you Chat Chimers, Ghost listeners, radio listeners. Again, thank you very much for joining us. We would definitely highly encourage everybody to come back and check this chat out. The chat is going off today in
Man.
a real way. So we appreciate that very much. All of your thoughts. Go back and check this out in its entirety on Facebook and YouTube. And definitely check out everybody's comments. A lot more comments on YouTube. I think we got a lot more YouTube watchers now.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely double check on whether or not these comments can come back up. But I'm gonna try to do something to make sure that we can save these and really kind of go back and dig in and see what everybody's talking about on this. And I highly encourage everybody to do that as well, so we can kind of all get the gist of what we are all talking about, because a lot of great comments happening here. Before we get to the next subject, buddy, how you feeling over there? You good?
Man, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Trying to read through these comments. A lot of good input.
Trying to go through the comments.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to miss anything, but a lot of good inputs. It's gonna be hard to catch everything. But yeah, man, we appreciate all the chat timers, all of your input. This is a conversation that, of course, is gonna keep on going. And yeah, man, we might have to, really organize and put some things together. Because it's a real movement. It's a real effort, and there are billions and billions of dollars being poured into this, as we see. I mean, the likes of the DeVos Family Foundation, the Koch, the Koch brothers Foundation, the Walton family. I mean, some very heavy hitters. Some of the nation's top billionaires behind this. So up against a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Right on. Again, thank you. It's hard. It's just funny because I'm getting caught up in this too, and it's just like at one point we can forget that we are on the show and you can just be sitting here reading the chat like
Man,
just silence, just dead air. And you guys are like, what are you guys doing? Well, we're looking at you. We're
Looking
reading
at y'all.
reading the chat. That's what we're doing. But in the meantime, between time, definitely some other subjects we want to get into
Mhm.
here and see what your thoughts are on that, buddy. What you thinking?
Yeah, man, following the money. It's still a thing here on First Sky Omaha. Still trying to figure out where all of these funds are going. And really, since we got the tip and kind of been paying attention, it's proven true. Again, Senator Wayne told us millions and millions of dollars come into Omaha and come into specifically North Omaha all the time. There are millions and possibly billions of dollars being invested in and being directed towards quote unquote underserved communities. But the question is, why aren't we seeing it? And who is getting this money if the community isn't feeling the impact? And this latest Nebraska Examiner article kind of lays out five entities that will be receiving nearly $13 million to quote unquote improve access to financial services and stir investment in underserved communities. That's according to the Biden administration's announcement just this past Monday. Of the five entities, one will be receiving the bulk of it. Midwest Housing Development Fund of Omaha was awarded about $6.2 million. Other recipients include Omaha 100, Oakland-based Nebraska Enterprise Fund, also the Grand Island Native 360 Loan Fund, as well as Omaha's Economic Empowerment Center. They all will be receiving finances and again their own pieces of the pie, if you will. The awards were apparently a part of a $1.73 billion in grants that was set to go to about 603 community development financial institutions or CDFIs across the country through the Treasury Department CDFI Equitable Recovery Program, which we kind of talked about CDFIs on Monday with Senator Wayne when we spoke about front porch investments and again the CDFI that they will be working with that to again fund and manage their program, the green lining program, which again is to assist homeowners with development of their properties. The ERP is a competitive grant program designed to expand lending and investment activity in low to moderate income communities that have disproportionate and unmet need for capital and financial services, i.e., North and South Omaha. According to Vice President Kamala Harris, in the statement, she says these grants, representing the largest CDFI grant program in history, will enable hundreds of community lenders to invest in small businesses and entrepreneurs, provide home loans for families, financial services for local nonprofits, and capital for community organizations.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Funds coming in. Again, not too familiar with some of these organizations, but definitely need to familiarize ourselves now.
There you go. Tough Anderson in the chat over on YouTube. Good morning. Says it's not hard to know who is getting the money and where it's going. These are definitely some names that I have, a couple names I haven't heard before. And also some of the funds, some of the money that is, that they're receiving. I don't know where those funds, where those are coming from. If they're coming from certain things. We've been really following that 1024, 530 for 31 money among other funds, among other things that are out there. But where are they getting these particular funds from, and what are they doing with those? So it is one of those things, man. I wish that I can't wait for documenters to come back through and us do a big collaboration with them. I would love to collab with the documenters for them to kind of help do that some of that research on where it's coming from, where it's going. It's all public information. So it's definitely something that can be sought out and dug into. This is the reason why we're doing the content creators cap. We got to build an army of journalists, man, that can spend some of that time, break some of that time up. Nobody has time to really just spend their whole day doing research, but if we can get a whole bunch of people at a time to do a little bit here and there and figure out where some of this stuff is happening and put it together in an organized way, we might be able to have this information just right at hand because most of it is public. Most of it we can figure it out. So, so I just think it's really interesting when we, a reporter over here at the Nebraska Examiner did just that. Figured out where some money is going to five different entities, who those entities are. It's kind of eye opening a little bit. Different areas that these places are, that these organizations are, and how is it that they have come together on those things? How do they pick those? How do they pick those five?
Mm.
out of all the organizations out there. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's a real interesting question. And I'm actually looking at not only how do they pick those five, but what are those five doing?
Yes.
Brother Knight is definitely kind of along my mind with this. His latest comment says because it's being sucked up by administrators. That's why every time there's funding for black areas, white people are managing those funds, and it is quite interesting. I think Senator Wayne, mentioned on Monday, anytime there's funding, and about a third of it is going towards administration. There needs to be administration to handle some of these things. And I'm actually looking at this article. It does say that these funds are for those very things. He says Jody Harris, who's a CDFI fund director, said the program funding is expected to quote unquote help families make ends meet in tough times exacerbated by COVID-19. However, in the very next sentence, he says it can be used by participating organizations to build staff, technology, and other tools to accomplish those goals and to better deliver financial and credit services. So again, it does kind of bring the question: how much of the funds are actually going towards the people that they're interested in or intended for? Like how much of those funds actually make it into the pockets of the people who need it, and how much of those funds are going towards administrators and paying administrators?
And again, these all these questions can be answered because these records are public, especially for nonprofits. They have to lay out their whole everything, how much their payroll is, how much their everything is. Not hard to find, definitely. So the question is, why do these, why do certain ones keep getting these funds as well? It's kind of the question. In the chat, real quick, Von Chapman says those who promote collaboration are the same ones who collaborate with the enemy that don't have the best interest of the black community.
Mm.
Also, Brother Knight says this is possibly why the city would say we can't take the money due to high number of applicants. What do you think who do you think these applicants are? This is a very interesting point that you are bringing out right there because just jumping back real quick into what's going on with the DED. I got another really legendary quote from Tanaya Patterson that she put in Friends of First Sky Omaha that I'd like to read real quick. It says that in additional year, but numerous additional hoops for an administration that has never taken any interest, past or present. A $2 million cash grab survey basically thrown away. Talking about Olson. Quick was recommendation now ineligible if they were for profit. Sorry, try another category, but we won't suggest which ones.
Man,
We've experienced that. Big grant wins now suggest checking out of the Redo app. Okay, so big grant winners now suggest checking out of the Redo app. So some of them don't have to do the redo the app. And as predicted, the DED is referring people back to members that were on the special committee over the original guidelines and criteria that the DED now isn't using through, though will not officially say so. Good luck. I appreciate that that that
mhm.
really sums it up. That sums up like how it is that some of us are feeling about what's going on there, and to Brother Knight's point, you know, the disorganization here, the things that are happening with people having to reapply, everything that's going on, exactly the reason why they're saying this money has to go through certain entities, we're not going to deal with it. There's too many people asking for it. There's too much disunity. There's too much stuff going on here, and we're going to just say forget it and give it to somebody else who has a more organized project on the west side or something like that. And that's a actual fear. That's an actual possibility that those things might go down. This is, and when we look at that, why the question comes up, why for me, why or do certain entities keep on getting certain funds? If I'm the government and I'm trying to make sure that a certain community gets certain funds, I'm going to go through organizations that say they have feet on the ground, boots to the roots to those areas and use those areas. This is the reason why we always got to go to the church to find out some information, and all the reason why Empowerment
Yeah,
Network. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so many organizations out there that receive the money. Some we know of, some we don't know of. Some we keep on learning about.
right. And my issue, it seems like most of those organizations aren't really reaching the people.
I mean,
The majority of the people.
yeah. I think that the majority of the people, right? I think, or the majority of the people that need to be reached.
Right. That part. That
Yeah.
part.
Malik Rogers says we had so many years of so-called great representation with numerous black elected officials or leadership, and nothing has changed. Tough Anderson says, look at the IRS 990 forms of these organizations. Black folks keep saying the same things and doing the same things. Nothing.
Hmm.
We can definitely look at these forms. Like I said, man, especially a 990 form is we just learned, got reminded that that's what a nonprofit organization puts out, and that's where all that information is that you can see where the money was spent, how the money was spent, how much money went to to staff, to administration, and so on, and how successful they were getting that money out to the public, if that's what the program was. Tanaya Passion said, "Here's the kicker: much of that money is in the form of grants, but going back out in the form of loans from the entities that got the grants." I got to find that article that said the first part of the ARPA was going to focus on loans, and the later disbursements in the form of grants. So in the door usury is an issue.
Hmm. Hmm.
Man, okay, I didn't know this first time I'm hearing about that. So money in the form of grants, but going back out in the form of loans. That'll raise some dust if some of these organizations, some of these organizations get a bunch of millions from the ARPA funds, and then all of a sudden turn around and now they're making loans to smaller businesses in North and South Omaha.
Man,
That'll
and
kick up some real dust.
what's the interest rates on these loans? Are you trying to?
No, that's not even the point. If they're getting this money for free, so the smaller entities ought to get that money too,
Yeah.
not have to take a loan out on it. That's pretty crazy. That'd be some dust kicking up. There'll be some smoke in the city for real, like they say. If that goes down, it's already smoky out here over this stuff. So it'll be real interesting if something like that goes down. Von Chapman says it comes down to accountability by some black elected officials and the Empowerment Network. None will come on First Sky for fear of being held accountable. No, I won't say that. Like Willie Barney is expressly said he'll come on First Sky. We just have to put that together. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I want to hear explanations. I want them to hear like what a lot of our chat chimers, a lot of people in our neighborhoods are feeling about it, and also get some clarification on what's going on if they're one of the organizations getting ARPA funds and some of these other monies, and what they plan on doing. Is it going to be loans? This is interesting. We'll have to see. But yeah, I mean, they we'll definitely have him on and talk about it. As a matter of fact, I think um who was that? Kimber said she ran into Willie Barney. And we were just talking about, yeah, let's get together. He's cool with coming on. We just got to get him on. Lee Rush says, "Come on, Paul. He's been saying that forever. His schedule ain't that busy. He's it's between both of us. Like I said, I told you before. I put it out there. I'm not too diligent to keep on calling the cat to say, hey, how about now? How about now? But we'll get it together. We're getting some help to actually get some scheduling things together. So we'll get it together.
Yeah.
Have him come on. I'll be sure to let everybody know when that's going to happen too, because it seems to be something that everybody's anticipating in a real way. So
Man, yeah, that'll be heavy.
Plenty of time to get your questions together for sure.
No, I do want to jump in there or acknowledge Wanda Lewis's comment as well.
Oh yeah,
Talking about the interest that or the loans that you're talking about. She says so will be dispersed to small businesses as a low interest loans. They are allowed to be a nonprofit. I asked that question when the senators on, and they said it was legal.
Mm.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. Brother Knight, he says use money to make money. All hustlers know that rule. Definitely, Mr. Stewart.
Oh boy, I'll make sure to see what's out when that comes out. All right, come on, a third application for some loans from an organization that the DED just gave some money to. We'll see.
Yeah, but again, it's not just this LB 1024 funds. As we see, $13 million supposed to go to financial services and stern investment in underserved communities. Will we see that investment? We definitely need to pay attention to these organizations. Midwest Developing Fund or Development Fund, Midwest Housing Development Fund is what it's called. Nebraska Enterprise Fund, Native 360, Omaha 100. Yeah, we need to look into these. It might be opportunity. If even if they're not, doing anything nefarious, there might be opportunities. So we should still look into them.
Yeah, it's good to know. I mean, we're looking into how money comes down from the state and from the federal, how money where it's supposed to go, how people apply for it because they're talking about blight in our neighborhoods and the need in our neighborhoods.
Hmm.
So we're trying to keep track of all that anyway. So yeah, it's definitely along the lines of keeping track of who's actually receiving it, who's actually also putting those applications out and receiving those monies, and what kind of promises they're making to what they're going to do with it to the neighborhoods and so on and so forth. Other funds, we were just talking about other funds. Other funds we're talking about here too is what brother Senator Terrell McKinney put out. Small business assistance was passed in LB 450. So this is a whole nother bill. 25,000 to qualified individuals looking to start small business and up to 12.5 to qualified small businesses less than 5 years old. So this is the Nebraska Enterprise Fund. Lots of other funds out there,
Okay,
and
actually,
mhm.
a Nebraska Enterprise Fund is one of the five entities. Nebraska Enterprise Fund received $2.23 million from this program.
Interesting. Okay. So there you go. $2.25 million that came to them, and they're saying they're providing now. They're going to provide grants. So they got a grant now. They're going to provide grants to $25,000 to qualify individuals looking to start a small business, and 12.5 to qualified small businesses less than 5 years old. Um. Okay. So it's interesting. Now that makes me want to be like, who's in there running this organization? How did they come to the conclusion that they should divvy it up at 25 and 12.5 at a time?
Hmm.
What was the idea behind that? And then this question that we're asking now: what's the administration's? How much the administration making off of that 2.25 million? So yeah, now that's the that to me that's going to be like a level of scrutiny now that I wasn't particularly thinking about in that way before. Like that level of scrutiny, like who's because we've been focusing on that money coming from federal or state,
Hmm.
and we knew this was coming though. I remember talking I can't remember who I was talking to, but they were saying oh, I think it was I was actually talking to Willie Barney. This was Empowerment Network. There's a portion of their funds if they get the ARPA funds that they apply for that is going to end up going to other businesses because
Hmm.
that's what they put in their application that they were going to do. So now it's like, okay, well, okay, we know that that's happening. We know that was going to happen. We just read about five other entities that's happening with. So now the question is, we have more questions about those entities. We got to see what's going on there. How much is administration making, so on and so forth.
Yeah. What work are they really doing?
Yeah. So anyway, there you go. We appreciate everybody who's joining that, and again, we'll keep on working on bringing on people that can answer some of these questions. But also, take a look at the situation in our personal situations as well. If we're in the chat and we're having thoughts and ideas and we're telling people about these things. How is it affecting us personally though? How is it affecting you and your business? Are you applying? Do you think that you would apply from some of these other entities? Have you been applying for the state and federal? That's to me that's a different kind of situation if you're thinking that way. If you're thinking like we're out here trying to get these funds, but now we're competing with other organizations that are just naturally or just getting the funds all the time, and they have a high administration fees and all these things. And is it really trickling down? A lot of people are feeling like it doesn't trickle down, and now I kind of want to see what the actual numbers say about that, what the actual paperwork says about it, and see if that's actually the case. If it's if that's actually coming down. So there's some data digging to do there on that, and figure that out because obviously it's going to affect what it is that we're trying to do. We're
Mhm.
not going to get state funds, or we're not going to get 1024 ARPA funds or any of those funds for our particular organization. We applied for Sky Omaha, got a zero evaluation. If we don't get if we don't win the next round of application from the DED, then already being advised. Well, then connect with these other organizations that are going to win and try to apply with them now. So now we got
Yeah.
to we do all this research on what's going on with the DED, which they've been really tight-lipped about. But now it's like, okay, well, these other organizations are nonprofits. Let's take a look at their 990s, see if they're inclined to to fund certain things. I mean, it's a whole nother set of people that are inclined to fund the thing or not.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
it's up to their decision, up to their whims. But with that, again, we do know that to Paul's point, there's a lot of funds coming through. So I would say, if you're interested in getting into business, starting a business at this point, if you're interested in, getting in the game, your job is to put together the tightest business plan as you can. And regardless of if you, find funding through these rounds or not, if you really want to get into business, use this as inspiration to get a tight business plan. And if your business plan is tight enough, you'll find funding.
well, yeah, but I mean, there's funding there, but we also got to pay attention to what this is. Who the gatekeepers of the funding is
Yeah.
also something we got to pay real close attention to because the funding's there doesn't mean you'll get it. Doesn't mean you'll get it. So why? Von Chapman in the chat is asking a couple questions that we'll ask Willie Barney when he comes on. Whatever happened to Carver Bank?
Yeah.
Still around? It's still around. He also says, "Is the Empowerment Network a 501c3?" I believe they are. Not quite sure, but we can ask that when we bring him on. We'll make another effort to bring him on. Well, I'll give him a call today and see if we can bring him on and answer some of these questions. So get your questions right. Get your questions together on that. Malik Rogers says, I would advise y'all to file a complaint against the department and request a review of their process and distribution of funding. I wouldn't be opposed to that if I can join in with some other folks that have some questions. Because
Mhm.
one thing I know is a problem is that we're not acting as a unit right now. None of us in our neighborhoods and none of these organizations are acting as a unit. They're getting bombarded by each individual 300 plus businesses about questions and things. And I feel like if we can get together, unify up a little bit, and come as a unit to demand that some answers on some stuff that we might that might help out. But right now, I feel like when you're an organization that's getting bombarded by questions that are some of the questions are already laid out in the thing. You know what I'm saying? Some of them are
Mhm.
already laid out. As a matter of fact,
In the Bible.
right, in their manual here. As a matter of fact, brother Senator Terrell McKinney said, "Here's the updated." He put the updated version of that manual here. I'm going to put that in the chat right there. That's the updated version of the frequently asked questions, and these are questions that we've been asking, and other entities have been asking. They said that they would take those questions and put them together, and there was enough people asking the same questions, and they would put them in this FAQ.
Mhm.
And so here's the updated. We can see that. But again, what questions are we going to ask them? What are we going to demand of them? Can we do it as a unit? Can we come with a little bit more powerful situation because we have unified up to figure that out? That's kind of where I'm at on that.
Yeah, like Von Chapman saying, solidarity versus collaboration. But also to that point, Senator McKinney has, mentioned that he is willing and kind of anticipating, summoning the Department of Economic Development before a legislative committee to answer these questions. So, there will be, a time of reckoning or kind of a point to get these answers that we're looking for. So it's, not just upon us to file a complaint. I think the legislators are doing some overseeing, some watching to see how this plays out. I mentioned they've already done their job as far as getting the bill passed, but again, they're not just taking their hands off of it. So
Yeah.
we'll definitely see how this plays out.
Well, I mean, we definitely have a ace in the deck with Brother McKinney being the head of that chair, being the
Hmm.
chair of that committee that can
Hmm.
ask them those questions, hold them accountable, and he's already said that he will. So that that's who I would look to lead that because I definitely think the solidarity move is really what's going to happen, going to make things work. Tough Anderson said, "Question: Why is it that Black North Omaha organizers always told collaborate, other folks non-black do not collaborate?" I don't know if
Uh,
I agree with you on that.
yeah.
I see other entities collaborating all the time. That's the problem. They get together and have an understanding and then go for something and then it's all there.
Right. Right.
Wanda Lewis says the Carver Bank is in the private sector and is not affiliated with economic development.
Um, I thought that was the whole like spiel. That was the whole fanfare about it. Was there was a Carver Bank program that was supposed to help with investment in economic development.
It is, but it's not a nonprofit situation. It's in the private. It's they're connected to the was it American Savings Bank?
Yeah, I do know that there was a relationship with that. I didn't think that they were um public entity, but as far as the Miss Wanda Lewis's comment about not being affiliated with economic development, it kind of has me like, I
Mm.
thought that's what they were for.
I mean, that's I don't, they're not. Yeah, not the programs that are out there. I think is what she's talking about. They're not affiliated with any of those programs. But I mean,
Right.
they're obviously there to have to help some development in our neighborhoods with being able to put loans, put things together so that small businesses can get loans. They're like I said, they're hooked up with another a bigger bank that maybe were I don't know, maybe they were having a tough time outreaching or maybe they didn't have.
No,
Mhm.
Malik Rogers is clearing it up too. And yeah, so the Carver Bank is not a bank; it's simply a program
Right.
partner with American National Bank, and American National Bank is the actual bank that's backing the program. So
Right.
that's where the funding is coming from.
Yeah. So again, if you might have been a business and you went to American National Bank, maybe got turned down, maybe you're talking to somebody over there that's not really invested in the neighborhood. So they put this program together, and I think they talked to them about promising a certain amount of money that they can use to
Hmm.
be the entities that then call it out, and they're a little closer to our neighborhoods, closer to us, can figure out what it is we need. And I think that's what that program is all about. But again, we'll talk to Willie Barney about it when he comes on to see if that's what's happening. But yeah, I think we've kind of understood what that was all about. But again, has anybody benefited from that? You
Right.
know anybody in the chat that's gotten a business loan through that program?
I mean, anybody seen anybody in there walking out of there? I mean,
I mean,
every time I pass, it seems closed.
not like all of no, it's open. I've seen it.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've
Okay.
seen it. But it's not like we talk to everybody in Omaha, but but the people that are listening to us, has anybody taken advantage of that program? Has anybody been helped by that program? Love to see it. Love to hear about it. Tough Anderson Carbon is affiliated with the American National Bank because they do not yet have a required Federal Reserve funds yet.
Hmm.
So there's some kind of building of the black bank too, and well, the I have heard from people that are doing that, starting black banks, that the
Hmm.
first thing you do is connect to a larger bank that can help you with some of the federally insured situations and funds to back up your ploy there. And if enough people get together on it, then it can turn into that the Carver Bank actually does turn into an actual bank that has the resources to be able to do what a regular bank would do. So it's like a build up is what I'm understanding. But like I said, we'll talk to Willie Barney can tell us way more about it than I can.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're getting to 8:47 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, appreciate everybody who is joining into the chat and having these conversations and working out some of these things. We got a few more things. Maybe we can get up to some lightning round on, and then we'll jump into some haps. Anything else on your hearts and minds, please put it in the chat. And when we're not here live, of course, you can put it on Friends of First Sky Omaha. And as you can see, we'll come back and discuss those things on show days. So we'll see. Von Chapman says you can't collaborate with the enemy and not expect the enemy to not influence the desired and expected outcomes.
Mm.
Hear you. I'd love to be in a position where we wouldn't have to work with what we got, and it's a little tough in this state, especially. But it can be done if we can get there for sure. I believe
Right.
that. In the meantime, we gotta kind of figure out how to make sure that we ain't leaving no money on the table anywhere
Right.
in our community, as far as I'm concerned. So,
And finding this a lot out there.
yep. What you got for him, buddy?
Yeah, man, just about 15 minutes left in this thing. So big shout out to everybody still in the chat hanging on with us, all the ghost listeners out there. We appreciate you. Definitely those of you letting your mind be free, letting your voice be heard. That's what it's all about, joining the conversation. But even if you're not in the chat, continue the conversation with your loved ones, your family, your coworkers, your classmates. Tell a friend and tell a friend. That's what this is all about, is education and information, because that's a big way that, kind of the same entities keep getting the same information and keep getting the same awards. I mean, if you don't know about the grant, how can you apply for it? So, again, communication is key. Let's spread this information. Tell a friend and tell a friend. And when they figure out, when they ask, where'd you hear about that? Tell them First Sky. So, Yeah, before we get out of here, again, a few more articles to dive into, a quick lightning round, if you will, and more on education. Again, this is a heavy education day. A lot of things to discuss, some we haven't even really gotten into, and I anticipate more conversation on these things. Definitely looking at the early childhood situation. Again, big shout out to the likes of Miss Erica Felt, Sister Gwen Easter, our child care providers, who are giving us more perspective and insight on this situation, because apparently there's a big fight going on, a real crisis in early childhood education, and apparently there was a big meeting yesterday. Education leaders urged a gathering of more than 500 people on Tuesday to stop, quote unquote, admiring the problem of Nebraska's early childhood education crisis and instead find solutions to the ongoing issues that seem to be getting worse in the state. This out of Omaha World Herald. There's a group of school district organizations and government agencies who all convene at an annual Thriving Children, Families, and Communities conference in Kearney, Nebraska, to explore the state's early childhood education system. Like other states, Nebraska's system has been lacking funds, staff, and widespread providers for years. Apparently, 9 out of 10 Nebraska counties do not have enough early childhood education providers. That's according to the Buffer Early Childhood Institute, who was actually the conference's facilitator. Again, 10 counties have no providers at all. But again, we definitely have to, kind of pay attention to this. Again, the Buffett Early Childhood Institute held this conference, and as some in our chat has said, it's the same entity that's kind of closing down some local entities, and maybe a part of the reason why there's not as many providers in the state. So
Let's come back.
again, very
Go ahead.
yeah. We'll definitely have to keep coming back to this one and look at this situation, and continue to get more information on what's going on with our childhood education system. But again, it's a crisis.
Yeah, let's go. Let's definitely pick this one back up. It's interesting that the Buffett Foundation is the one that put the meeting together, and the gist of the
Yep.
meeting is there's not enough providers, as they are putting their own providers in our neighborhoods. Yeah, that's pretty convenient. So, and I know that we got some chat chimers that will have a lot to say about that situation in a big way. Because really a lot we know personally about people who've gotten their child care center closed down because they can't compete with a Buffett center or another center that is providing free child care, along with everything else that comes with that. What are you going to do? So, it's interesting to me that they would have the conference. It's interesting to me that the gist of the conference would be, well, there's not enough around here. Well, how many
Mm-hmm.
mom and pops did you go talk to? If there was 500 people there, how many people were small business entities? I'd like to know who was in the crowd. There's a lot to talk about this, so we'll definitely pick this up next week, or actually maybe even next show, because I really would like to hear about what's going on there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. In other news, kind of for our older students who have advanced out of early childhood education, and now are in our public education system, it seems like there's some crises going on in that area as well, as there's a new initiative aimed towards stemming off some of the chronic absenteeism across the state, especially in the Omaha area. Apparently, there's a 2-year initiative being launched by the Metropolitan Omaha Educational Consortium, which is an organization that has been in the metro since 1988 and aims to serve as a community forum addressing high priority issues in education. And absenteeism is apparently one of the highest priorities currently. And during the 22-23 school years, about 22% of Nebraska students were chronically absent, or close to a fourth of students just didn't go to school. That's according to state data. Before the pandemic, about 2018 to 2019, that number was roughly 15%. So the number has drastically increased in a short period of time. The actual rate of chronic absenteeism in Nebraska has improved slightly since the 2021 school year, when it was about 24%. So again, that trend shot up and is going down, but not quickly enough. Two metro districts, Omaha and Ralston, were actually among the 10 Nebraska districts with the worst absentee ism during the 21-22 school year. That's according to latest data. And specifically in OPS, about 32% of students had more than 20 days of absences. That was up from 20% back in 2018. So closer to a third of OPS students are missing a lot of days, which of course is a big issue. And we'll continue looking at that and talking about that because again, that is a very, very big red flag and a good kind of indicator of the preschool to prison pipeline. Because again, if students aren't going to school, what are they doing? Where are they going? Most likely they're in the streets, you know, hanging out with their friends, probably getting in trouble.
Yeah.
Which again kind of takes me to the next in the last article in this lightning round. What's going on in our prisons? Again, despite salary hikes, staffing issues remain at Nebraska prisons. Again, prisons are the most overcrowded, of which again you have the most overcrowding and the least amount of staff. Again, staffing issues remain at the state's prison system despite hiring bonuses and steep increases in pay, according to an annual report released Monday. While vacancies and turnover of correction officers and corporals have improved since peaking in recent years, increases in the two categories drew concerns from a watchdog office appointed by the Nebraska legislature due to problems in state prison. So again, not a lot of staff and too many inmates is definitely a recipe for disaster.
Yep. Man, deep day.
Yeah, man.
You definitely went from the babies all the way to what happens in prisons, and it's all these things that we were talking about in between is what contributes to this. Ultimately, what we call the preschool to prison pipeline. I mean, that's unfortunately that's that's what's at stake
Mm-hmm.
when we talk about everything in between, what's happening in the school system, whether or not kids have choice to go to different schools, if there's different schools for them to go to, if they're in OPS, how does OPS spend their money in order to enhance things like stopping chronic absenteeism, having the right teachers in the right programs happening, having buses to get kids to school. What happens when they're not in school? We started off the show this morning, unfortunately having to talk about some of the shootings that happened last night with school age kids,
Mm-hmm.
and then and then where do they have to go except for the situation in the prison system, so that we keep on having prisons built and still overcrowded
Yep.
because of the situation going on here, and of course it affects the black and brown neighborhoods more than anybody else, and that's just
I mean, it's no coincidence that OPS is 70% students of color, quote unquote. OPS has the highest absentee rate at 32%. And it's no coincidence that the Nebraska prison population is unproportionately or disproportionately inmates of color, quote unquote. Um, it's also not a coincidence that, jobs and economic opportunity are at few and far between in those communities of color, quote unquote. I mean, come on, man. It's the math. And when you look at it from that perspective, it's mathing. And that goes right along with Von Chapman's comment. He says, Buddy, that is the malicious intent of the state to justify funding for the preschool to prison pipeline.
There it is. Kimber Snipes reminding us Omaha 360 is today. I encourage folks who can go to go. Appreciate the reminder on that. And that jumps us into our haps portion of the show.
Hey,
Haps right there.
that's nice. That's nice.
What's the haps? What's happening?
Hey,
What's going down?
Yeah. Thank you for joining us with this whole show. We got a few haps for you. Of course, on Friday we'll have a more extensive haps. But just wanted to give a shout out to once again the organization. Oh man, I'm losing. There's so much stuff out here, man. It's a trip. The Gang Education Prevention is what I'm trying to get to.
man.
Black Agenda Alliance teamed up with Untamed. When we talk about Boots to the Roots, season 6, what we're in right now, this is what comes to mind for me. Brother Kasim, Brother Sherman Wells, also Trent Tuca is going to be speaking. This is Gang Education Prevention topics covered about gang life, what children think, what it actually is, what's the system, how does the system act with you? How can parents be proactive? Lots of areas covered here. with people talking to actual families and actual kids that are involved in some of these things that are happening. They have the wisdom of people who have been through it themselves and come out the other side, and they can try to help young people do the same. And when you talk about boost to the roots, this is it. If you want to find out about organizations that need your help and your funding, they don't need your help. They're going to do it themselves. It'd be nice to help them. It'd be nice to support them on the efforts that they're doing. Black
Right.
Agenda Alliance for sure, Untamed for sure. When I think about some of these funds that are coming into our neighborhoods, if these people aren't on the list, then I don't
It's
know
a
what's happening.
problem.
It's a problem. But there you go. Really appreciate those brothers who are making that happen. Definitely want to give Jade a shout out for making AfroCon a thing in our neighborhoods as well. Really appreciate her for doing this every year. I think they're in their fourth year, third year. AfroCon's happening October 7th, 2023.
Mhm.
October's coming up, man. I remember when I pulled these, I was like, oh, that's a month away. Nah, it's
Couple weeks.
yeah, right, right. So AfroCon again is happening October 7th. Get your costume together, man, because they have that
Man,
costume contest is real cool. It's gonna be at Metropolitan Community College Fort Campus from 9 to 7 on October 7th. So definitely check that out. And let me see if I have. Yeah, I do. I have the AfroCon link for you to get tickets and things like that. I'll go ahead and throw that in the chat real quick. It's a big one. So hit that link and go check out AfroCon, and
man.
we'll definitely see you over there for sure. Also, want to throw out there this boot camp coming up.
Hey.
Yeah, this is something that I'm kind of interested in very much so myself. Adult Black Studies Boot Camp 2.0. It's a 5-week online Black Studies course that analyzes the Black experience within 5 major areas: psychology, sociology, politics, culture, and religion.
Hmm.
Now they'll be discussed. This is put on by Kara Warner. You know that she's part of the Black Agenda Alliance as well. So definitely check that out. For more information, you can go to Manifested Purpose LLC at Yahoo. That's a $20 registration fee, but go ahead and check that out and join the 6-week program. It'd be a very interesting thing to check out. It happens from 12 to 2 on Saturdays beginning September 23rd. So yeah, looking forward to checking this out and learning a thing or two. Speaking of which, we don't have our flyer out yet, but we do have our content creators camp. This is not the right flyer. We're at week 6. We will be back at no, we're at week 7 now. We'll be back at the Elevator Spaces though, 1402 Jones Street in Omaha, Nebraska. This is happening at from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock on Saturday. Coming up this Saturday, we'll put the new flyer out today on Friends of First Sky Omaha and hit you with the newsletter as well.
Yeah,
If you
man.
haven't registered, go to Friends of First Sky Omaha and register there. Really appreciate that very much. And of course, that Omaha 360, man, hit that. Definitely hit that. I'm gonna see if I can move my schedule around and do it myself. It's really
Good.
kind of yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's kind of what's on my mind as far as that's concerned. Also, Metropolitan Community College always puts together the international intertribal powwow, which
Hey.
is a huge one, man. A lot of tribes from all around come to this one.
Get down.
I've shot this a few times, helped a few times, and been here several times. But definitely check that out as one of the biggest ones in the area. And shout out to Metropolitan Community College for doing that 32nd annual Fort Omaha Intertribal Powwow. They've been doing this a while.
Man.
September 23rd. Mark your calendars. It's going to be from 1 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And it is a really, really great time. It's amazing to see who's all in our neighborhoods too, man. We got people who are directly related to a lot of these tribes, and
Hmm.
so you see a whole lot of different shades coming on out for this, and it's a real great time, and hopefully the weather will be good. But shout out to Metropolitan Community College for putting this on. Definitely check it out. September 23rd, the powwow's going down.
Man. Man. Families coming together. It's a beautiful thing. On the Omaha 360 point, I did want to acknowledge Sister Kimra's comments. Again, there are some questions about Omaha 360, and she says I put a whole list of notes from the last meeting on the First Guy page, so you can definitely go there if you're interested in what they're discussing. She says again, you can go there and see everything discussed at the meeting, so definitely check it out. She also says I will be lying if I sat up here and said or acted like there was no work being done in 360. So she seems to feel like again, we are looking to speak with other people and give them the benefit of the doubt, even if we're not personally seeing it. It's still a kind of a stretch to say nothing is being done. So yeah, we'll definitely love to speak to Brother Willie, and hopefully we'll get the opportunity very soon. But again, if you are interested and do have an issue, go to 360.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. Like I said, I'm gonna try to move some things around and hit it myself and start hitting
Yeah,
it
man.
regularly. See what's going on myself. It's 9:04 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, we agreed on 9. We apologize for going past, but before we got out of here, we definitely still have to make sure that we are letting you know that Brother Blake is still missing, and we need
Man.
to find Levi Blake. He goes by Pone or Capone as well. He was last seen August 17th and near 33rd and Lake. So please, and from what I understand, he's suffering from a little bit of Alzheimer's. So
Dementia.
yeah, dementia, excuse me. And yeah, and so approach with care. If you see him, definitely call these numbers 470-216-5739 or 531-203-3810 for those of you that are listening. And I thought I had a link here, but I don't. I apologize for that.
Yeah, good.
But yeah, well, okay, buddy, will get it for us. But yes, please keep your eyes out. He's been gone for a little while now. Like I said, August 17th was when he was last seen, and we really appreciate everybody who's made some efforts and helped the family go out looking for him as well. And we'll
Yeah.
continue to do it.
Yeah,
Continue to
and
do it.
those of you who have donated to the GoFundMe, thank you. Thank you.
Very, 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 very boots on the roots.
Yeah,
Of
man. Yeah, man. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. So it's a big thanks. Also, I do want to acknowledge Marianne Williams in the chat as she says, "Get your COVID boosters. I did it, and I'm pretty sure I have the Omicron variant. Testing
Mm,
later today. Be safe out there." So yeah, definitely. Hopefully that's not the case, Miss Williams. But if it is, please get well soon. And be safe, be vigilant, be careful, be aware.
COVID is back, new variant, and the new vaccine just dropped yesterday, I believe. So
Okay.
yeah, so they're saying go get it, especially if you have comorbidities. Just you remember that if you're susceptible to it, protect yourself. We're gonna go ahead and get out of here, man. We're running very late today. We apologize for that, but thank you for everybody that joined in. Again, if you missed this show and it's in any portions of it, go back and check it out in its entirety on Facebook or YouTube. And please check out the chats. The chats, the chat has gone off today in a big way.
Man.
I feel that several messages to my phone while it was going on, several emails was happening. So even offline and everywhere else, people had a lot to say about what we were talking about today. So hopefully we can put some of these things together and really come with a solid maybe a document even of what it is that a lot of us are thinking. A lot of us who
Mm.
represent our neighborhoods are thinking on these subjects, and maybe can be used for some information to the powers that be that are behind all these things, and they can understand where we're coming from and understand what's up.
Yeah.
I really feel like that's the thing that we need to go ahead and put together. So, again, thank you. We can't do this without you. Really appreciate it very much. Let's go ahead and get up out of here, though, buddy. You got some words for the people?
Yeah, man. Big shout out to all the chat chimers, everybody who's man a part of this. Just we thank you. We appreciate you. As Paul just said, it would not be the same without you. Your input is so important. Your perspectives, your ideas have value. So please continue to share them. Please continue to let them be known. Because again, that's where it starts. Us coming to again, that's what First Sky is about. Us coming to an agreement, having an understanding, and then moving upon that understanding to get some things done, man. So we appreciate you. We love you. We thank you. As always, again, big shout out to Miss Erica Felt for my hat. I thank you. And yeah, it was a good time living alive with all of you while I was there. For those of you who I didn't get a chance to catch, until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones, and again, catch the same time, same place, right here on First Guy Omaha in the morning, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Until then, Paul B,
Yo, yo.
take it away, man.
Man, Josh Tech says, happy hump day. Good show today. Great seeing you two at P-Funk Sunday. Yeah, it was good seeing you, bro.
Yeah, man.
Most definitely. Saw some Chad Chimers hanging out.
Yeah.
That was great. Stacey Jean said, great show, my guys. Appreciate you coming on through with some applause. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Thank you. And everybody else that I'm missing here, I appreciate everybody's kind words to the things that we're doing. But again, we don't do this without you. So thank you for joining us and being a part of this as well. Thank you. I want to give thanks to the Omaha tribe elders for allowing us to be on this land and speak while we're here. Thanks to our elders for allowing us to speak before them. And thanks to you, the chat chimers, allowing us to speak with you. We cannot do this without you. This is definitely a collaboration on the highest level
Yeah, man.
of us coming up with the ideas and the thoughts. And now some of the actions. Season 6, Boots on the Roots. What can we do to be more active and to take a more active role in what it is that we're trying to change here in our neighborhoods, in our city. I really appreciate everybody who's joined us, and I can't thank you enough for that. Also, thank you for everybody who is a reoccurring member and a sponsor of the channel as well.
Yes.
$10 people, $25 people, $50 people. If you're so inclined, please go to firstskyOmaha.com, hit the donate button. Of course, you can do any one-offs that you would like to do there, but I encourage you to become a reoccurring member so we can keep this going each week. And we'll vow to you that we'll continue to do it as well. And we got another couple seasons before we go into changing up some formats, but we will still be here and we'll always be here to try to make things better in our neighborhoods. That's our contribution to what's going on here as well. So hopefully we can move this into some more training, like we are doing the Content Creators Camp on Saturdays at 10 o'clock, and get more people involved and really kind of being keeping watch of the powers that be, and also expressing the stories and the things that are coming from our neighborhoods, the things that we think and we say, and that's very, very, very important for us to have that kind of representation in a city, in a state that is not really looking at us for that. So really appreciate everybody that is a part of wanting to expand that and expand your content creation ship. I'm saying that word, I'm making up words now. Wants to expand this into being able to be a trusted source of information, and that's what we're trying to show and teach. And even if you don't know the whole thing yet, man, look at the authentic process of us trying to go through learning it, coming up with it, figuring it out, discussing it among family, and being able to be strong in the street with your words, because you got that back. And hopefully we can be that to you, because you are that to us. So we really appreciate it. We'll see you Friday. Again, we apologize for the late ending here, but I really appreciate everybody that stuck with us all the way through it to the end. And we'll continue this conversation Friday. You guys take care of yourselves.
Peace.
By the way, Vanglorious, this is protected by the red